Hello, everyone. It's Jaden here for Student Pages. Hope you're all doing well once again. Welcome back to another Artist Spotlight interview. We're here today with Sophie Grey. You are a very sought after live and session musician. Just got finished touring, I believe, with America's Got Talent's Lily Mayola, if I'm correct.
Yeah, it was super fun. Her music it's not, we're all under the same umbrella of doing music and doing what we love, but her music is a lot more Americana country. So to be exposed to that sort of life is really fun. And everyone was just a great time on tour, and she's, incredibly talented. So it was just amazing to be a part of that.
Nah, that's awesome. That's a great experience to have. So, you also do music yourself. So, if you could just give us a bit of a rundown as to how you got into the music industry and broke into that world.
Yeah, so I've been writing music for a really long time. I started with classical piano ever since I was really little, and then that kind of developed into playing on the piano just on my free time, doing what I like, playing different chords. And then I went to college, I went to university for pop music in Los Angeles, and I studied under a lot of really honorable jazz musicians, one of them being Patrice Rushen, and she's just a god in piano and music, and she does all of her own production too. So to be surrounded by that kind of talent was very inspirational. And after that, I started releasing my own music, and then I developed this kind of style called Retro Electro, which is a mix of alternative synth wave but with a modern twist to it. So that's kind of where I'm at now, and I'm releasing an EP next week.
Yes, it's just another Sonic Monday, right?
Exactly.
Very cool. So, what can you tell us about the creative process of the EP and what can people look forward to about it?
Well, I think one thing you can really look forward to is that it's authentically me. I wrote, produced, arranged the whole thing. I love producing, so that's always part of my process. Another thing is it's just really fun, and it's music that I think is very different, but it's interesting. It's got a lot of different pieces to it. I think if you listen to it a few times, you'll hear, something that you didn't hear the first time. And also just they're really fun subjects, the songs. They're all kind of random, but they all kind of go together at some point. But yeah.
No, that's cool. So, you've given me a bit of a rundown as to what your music is, but how would you personally describe the vibe a bit and what do you think makes it stand out?
So I'm a keyboardist, so the vibe
Mhm.
is a lot of synths, very wavy, but it's also very rhythmic, and it's got a lot of cool hits here and there. For the drummers out there, maybe you'll like it. And my whole concept for this EP is that it kind of developed based off this little series that I used to do online called Sonic Mondays, where I would take some of the songs that are going to be on the EP and do a live recording of them in just the whole retro electro Sophie Grey world. So it's this like foreign TV station that basically breaks into your phone, and your phone's glitching, you're on your TikToks, this thing comes on, and it's just another Sonic Monday, and it starts playing this retro electro music. So that's kind of the style, that's kind of the vibe. It's intrusive, but in a good way, I would say.
That's really cool. That's really creative. I've never heard anything like that, to be honest. That's really dope. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So you're still fairly early into the actually getting music out there, but you've evidently had so many amazing experiences along the way already. You're really making a big impression immediately. So how would you say the people in your life have responded to this growth in your life? Have they been very persuasive? Have they said, yeah, you're doing the right thing? Or have you had any people go, what are you doing?
I'm sure there's a bit of both. Whenever you're doing something creative, people always question it because it's not a definitive answer. There's no like linear way of like how to get to where you want to be. So that's very scary for people. There's no like senior director of music artists being at a festival. There's no like title like that. So it's all just time. And one thing that my other musician friends agree on is that, as long as you're doing what you love and making music just like an everyday thing, it doesn't become like super scary. It becomes really fun. And, the challenges you face are more like just challenges of challenging what you love, I guess. And so
Mhm.
I just make sure whatever I'm doing is something that I'm passionate about, I really like to do, whether that's playing for other artists, whether that's doing my own music. I just want to make music my center because that's like how I feel. So I think that always reassures me, like I'm doing what I feel is right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a wonderful passion to lead with as well. I think there's so much that can be explored in music about, yourself and your experiences. And I suppose leading on from that, then, has there been any experiences in your life that have led you toward music? Have you gone through anything that maybe you've channeled into what you do now?
I mean, well, when I was younger, I wanted to be in video editing. And that was like the thing I always knew I wanted to do something in entertainment, but I had all these different things I liked and I didn't know where to center. And so I used to do a lot of video editing and I still do video edit all of my own music videos. But that was like, I want to do that. And then I was like, oh, I really like songwriting. So I was like, okay, that's also a priority. And so as I was kind of going through the process, I realized like during COVID, during the pandemic as well, it's like, wow, like music production is basically like video editing and songwriting together because you're just editing all the
Yeah.
parts together. So that was like kind of the aha moment for me, where it was like, oh wow, like I can just combine things, like some skills I have and some passions I have, I can just combine them and make them into one thing. And I think sometimes people forget that, like, you can really like bring two or three things that you like together and make it your own little job, and people will respect it, and you'll be amazing at it because it's everything that you love to do. And so that's kind of also what this EP is it's like a combination of everything I love to do when it goes to like the fashion of what I'm wearing and the music videos that go with it and the production style and then the songwriting. It's just like it's like a blurb of everything that I've really learned throughout my life and also just what I like to do and just doing it together.
Yeah, no, it's great. And it's interesting you mention actually, because I've just got off an interview with a guy called Nick Brooks, and he's a writer, filmmaker, and musician at once. And we were just talking about how sometimes you don't have to just be one thing. If you have multiple passions, it's always possible to combine them. And evidently, that's what you've done as well. You say you like video editing, that comes across, like you said, in making the music videos. There's just so much wonderful stuff in creative industries that can be combined. And I think it's really great that you've managed to connect so much of what you do.
Exactly. And why do we need to fit in a category? Everyone always says categories are made up. And I kind of think that's partially true. I think it's easy to say like and that's why I think like a lot of people in every different field and careers like people are surprised like, "Oh wow, like they're the senior executive somewhere, but they're also like one of the world's best cooks or something." And you're like, "Wow, that's so weird." But it's like, "No, actually like maybe that coincides. I don't know." But yeah,
Maybe they just like to bake.
maybe they do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And another thing you're fantastic at, because again, I always do my little bit of research behind everyone that I talk to. I've taken a look at your social media on Instagram. You have an incredible social media presence. I think like sort of the presence you've built up is really unique and creative. So with social media, then, what is your overall take on it? Because I've spoken to a lot of people who are really quite against the concept of social media, but then I've also spoken to people that love utilizing it and think it's a brilliant tool for creatives. Where do you lie on that spectrum, would you say?
Well, it's definitely a double-edged sword because I definitely do hate social media at times. It's a lot of work and it's scary. It's like you're putting yourself out there and people can hide behind their screens and be very judgmental and rude. But I think that's like a very familiar feeling with everybody, whether in a creative field or not. But I do think the beauty of social media is that you can do whatever you want with it. You can literally post whatever. And I think when you just start doing what you like on it, it becomes a lot better, which is what I've kind of transitioned to is just, making it my personal outlet of trial and error. And yeah, you just kind of you can't get lost in the sauce with it for sure.
That's one way of putting it. I love that phrase, by the way. Lost in the
As it
Sauce might
were.
be top 10 phrases of all time. No, fantastic. No, yeah, as I say, you've done a great job with social media, and yeah, it's absolutely important to make sure you don't lose yourself in it. Or on a somewhat similar note, then I suppose pivoting a little bit, how important would you say it is as a musician to find other people that are doing what you do? Does it help to have those connections? And have you learned anything from anyone particularly that you remember being notable?
I think you definitely don't need it because I think creativity comes within and you can be inspired by just by listening to the radio or watching movies. And so I don't think you need to be surrounded by creative energy to have creative energy. That being said, I do think when you are with other musicians, you feel seen, you can empathize with them, and they can understand what you're going through, whether that's like questioning what you're doing at all, or, writing a song and seeing whether it's a good idea for this part or this part. I definitely found a lot of inspiration when I went to university, but I wouldn't say that that's like my big moment of understanding music. I think that came just through trial and error, writing bad songs, writing good songs, seeing what's going on, and just listening to what's going on in the world too. It doesn't have to be music related. It could be, the news. It could be just whatever is inspiring you. You could step outside and look at the trees, and that can inspire you. I think just being around life in general is very inspirational for music.
I think being able to take in the little things in life and being able to draw art from such
Mm.
simple things is incredible talent and skill to have. Yeah, it's not something anyone can do, and I think that is what gets people somewhere these days, to be honest, is actually being able to draw something from anything.
Yeah, well, I think that if you look at social media, it's almost like drawing all this creativity out in this social media post where people are outside dancing. That's kind of like you took nature and made it into some marketable TikTok where people can replicate it. I think what's really important is music has to, when you're writing, at least for me, I really think of two people. I think of myself. I think, am I happy with it? And then I think of everyone else. Like, I don't, write to be popular or to write to, oh wow, this is gonna trend. I write because, I think that what I'm feeling, maybe someone else is feeling, and they can either feel seen, feel that there's someone else out there that's understanding them, or, maybe they're like, this is a good song and I like listening it. I bop my head up and down. That also is amazing to me too.
Yeah, it's nice when people respond to something you've made. Absolutely. So, taking a step away from music for a minute, then, what do you do to get away from that world? Do you have any hobbies that you like to put your time into that sort of escape you from it? Because I've spoken to some musicians that say that actually music is their hobby, and I've always found that a very interesting response. But what's your take? Anything you do?
That's a really good question. I could see I could see it both ways, where music is a hobby. I mean, I always live and breathe music, so that's kind of a given, but maybe to make an interesting answer, I don't know. I like to go on walks. I love hanging out with my pets. I'm a big animal lover.
Which animals is the question?
Oh my goodness. I have quite a few. I have two rabbits and then I have a cat. And sometimes I'll just be working and then I'll just lay next to one and be like, "Can I hang out with you?" And usually the answer is no, because they
Hmm.
know how it
The
is.
minute you said cat, I was like, yeah.
Yes, you know how it is. It's the minute you want them to give you attention, they have to run away. So that's kind of what that is. But I don't know. Yeah, I do love hanging out with my cats, my pets, just like living. That makes me sound sad, but I am okay. I'm in
Yeah, no, I think there's a beauty to be found in just being able to enjoy life as it is. It's like no, that's not ridiculous at
Yeah.
all.
And phone calls are nice. I'm not a big texter. I think a lot of people, maybe some people feel the same way. Phone calls are so much better. that anxiety of getting a phone call and then picking up and it's like, oh, it's just a friend I know. That's really nice too.
So, for students then that want to get into the music industry, that want to break into that world, what advice would you give to someone in that position?
I think just keep going because there's a lot of no's in the music industry, as in every job. People always say no, and I've been told no a lot, but I just take those negative things and I just go, you know what? I'm gonna just keep pushing. I find comfort knowing that, other people have been where I am and they have continued to do what they love, and that's what's really important. And where there's a will, there's a way. I know these are all like very cliche, but they're very
It's
true.
not wrong.
I mean, I'm still navigating it as well, but patience is like so crucial in music because it takes so long it can either take a really long time to get somewhere or it can just happen like that. So it's very spontaneous, but I think that's what attracts a lot of people to it is that it's very random, it's not normal, and that's also, you gotta take those anxious moments and be like, this is exciting, not scary.
Yeah. It's nice to live in a little bit of unknown.
Yes, I think so. I think it's a good time. Sometimes it can be a little nerve-wracking, but you just got to know it's all part of the plan.
You get that in any industry, you know.
Exactly. You get it, Jaden.
Yeah, exactly, you know, it's how it is. So, go on then. If you had to pick one thing from everything you've been through in your time making music, what would you say has been your biggest challenge so far?
I think the biggest challenge is just growing and being okay with growing. Sometimes you get to a point and you're like, oh, I really like where I'm at, but you have to realize this is just temporary because life moves, and so you've got to move with it. And I think when you're okay with growing and changing, that's where your art can really soar. So that's what I work on every day is just being okay with change.
Yeah, no, that's interesting actually, because again, something I'm noticing with yourself is that you take so much of what your life is and channel that into your music, and that then becomes a reflection, and vice versa. I think that's really interesting, you know, because again, I've spoken to quite a lot of people in the music industry, and not everyone feels that connection. You know, they don't always want to connect their day-to-day experiences with the music, and I think the fact that you do is really, really wonderful. So yeah, no, that's an interesting challenge to have. I think it's one that a lot of people can relate to. But
It's not, just to add on really quickly, it's not like you're changing who you are, but it's just different versions of yourself throughout your life. So that reflects.
yeah, that's an interesting way to put it. Yeah, I never thought of it like that. So last one then. What are you working on right now? Have you got anything that you want to plug, and what can people expect from you in the near future?
Let's see. This is my time to shine. Well, I want to promote Student Pages for having me. Thank you so much, Jaden. This was a great
You
interview.
chose wisely. That's
I win,
exactly
I
what you should have said.
win.
I'm
Uh,
sliding you the paycheck under the table.
I want to know first where you got your headphones because those are amazing. The blue and red is very.
No, these are actually my little brother's headphones that they used on the Nintendo Switch.
They did
They
look.
were the only ones I owned that had an actual microphone. My laptop doesn't have a microphone, and it's actually a pretty
Oh,
good one. So I just had to go with it.
well, they're really cool. So, and they're very retro electro, which I love. I'm Sophie Grey. I make retro electro music. I have a new EP coming out next week. So you'd like to tune in. And I hope, you continue doing what you love. And thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you so much. It's been fantastic talking to you.
Yeah, this was super fun. You had amazing questions. So thank you,
Well,
Jaden.
thank you very much.